we're going to ask the question, why do I teach? Does that give it a good synopsis? Guide others. Synchronized coughing? Guide others inward.
To share what I learned.
Yeah.
I don't know really English, but I like give my
Enthusiasm? Yeah.
to the people.
Yeah. Inspire. Yeah. Inspire.
To move, to not to stay stiff
Yeah.
and to feel what you are moving. And all this I like to do.
Inspire to move and feel. Because a lot of people are going through their lives and they're not feeling anything, right? We know that. That's why the modern Western world is the most medicated, overweight, in-depth culture that has ever existed, because people don't even know what they feel like anymore. So they're numbing. So many people, they're just numbing. And this is a joy to watch somebody that comes in super stressed out and find that connection inward, all of a sudden feel their bodies move, recognize they're more than just sitting at a desk earning money or doing whatever, even not sitting at a desk and earning money. What else? You're curious, making a connection with people. No?
Yeah, I'm interested about people. Everybody different.
Yeah. Okay. More? Create a safe space. Okay. So to learn, I'm not going to repeat all of that again, but we get that.
And it's fun.
It's fun. It's fun because it's something that we love to do. For some people, it's not necessarily fun. It can become fun. But how many of you, I'm not looking at you, Audrey, how many of you had a really hard time standing up in front of a group of people? And all of a sudden, everybody's looking at you, right? And you're still passionate about doing the thing, but at that moment, you wouldn't define it as fun, would you? It's like you're sweating and, And that's why I always say you don't have to be a public speaker to teach. All of the other things are so much more important, right? We can learn how to feel comfortable talking in front of people, right? It's something that some of you might have felt a little bit nervous, but once you start, who was it that said, was it you, Georgia, that said, once I start teaching, I'm fine, But speaking in front of people in any other realm is really unnerving, right? And that's the important thing. Again, that makes you realize, yeah, I'm doing this because of all of these things. How many people teach because you want more friends? It's important to note that. Please just make a note of that. I just admitted to Julie, I do not teach because I need more friends, right? And I'll tell you why that's important. Because often, if you're teaching, especially in a studio or in a place where everybody else is teaching a certain way, or you feel the pressure from what everybody else is doing, you will end up teaching what you think everybody will like. In other words, I want students to like me. Don't ever teach because you want people to like you, because we already know that's not the truth. I want more people in my class. Stop teaching, right? I want to make more money. Stop teaching, right? There's so many other way better paid jobs, right? It's not about being popular. But sometimes we get sucked into that. We can feel like we're less if we have fewer people in our class than the teacher that comes in after, or the teacher that was just in there before. Wow, 30 people walked out of their room and only 10 people are coming into mine. And you start to think, well, maybe I should teach more like that person so that more people will like my class. No, don't sacrifice integrity for membership to the club, right? Don't ever sacrifice your integrity for membership. Be the outsider. Be the person that people say, wow, it's really brave of you to say this stuff, right? It's okay. I have lots of friends. I got loads of friends. We will all become friends, I'm sure. But I'm not here to make friends with any of you. It's not my job for you guys to like me. Some of you won't like me. Some of you think, I really like what she has to say, but she's too loud, she's American, she does jazz hands too often, or whatever it is. Some of you won't find that very interesting. That's okay, right? I'm passionate about the information I have to share. And that's my job, right? It is not to become the most popular teacher. And because that's always been my goal, I've always had students. Because I never sacrificed my integrity. When I discovered, way back in the day, that Ashtanga Vinyasa was the wrong practice for me, that it was just killing my body, I couldn't teach it anymore. I just said, I can't share this anymore. I cannot give you a reason why to do it. I cannot convince Monica why she should do it. I can't convince anybody in this room why it would be a good practice to do. Because I don't experience that. It lost me a lot of students because for a long time, I was an Ashtanga teacher back in the day when there was only a handful of us, right? And I made a lot of money as an Ashtanga teacher because I was living in the UK and there was only one other person in Brighton that taught Ashtanga, and outside of that, you had to go all the way to London. Outside of that, you had to go to Edinburgh or down to Penzance, a 10-hour train journey, right? And there I was teaching Ashtanga, and people were just asking me left, right, and center. Come teach here, come teach there, private lessons, this. We've got 50 people signed up at this health club. We've got 75 people signed up at this university already. We've already got the numbers, right? But the minute I realized I can't do it anymore, I walked away. Because I wasn't there to make friends, and I wasn't there to worry about my reputation. I had to stick with my integrity. And so remember, that is one of the reasons, if I'm inspired to create a safe space for exploration, I have to believe in the space that I'm creating. I have to believe in the exploration that I'm offering. And if it goes against the grain of what everybody else around me is saying, it's okay. Maybe then my Dharma for a little while is to teach a small group of people for a while before other people catch up. And they will. You stick with your integrity, people come. You know what they always say? When you need a teacher, they appear. I always say, when you're ready for this, when the students are ready, they appear. And there's nothing better than sending a student away and saying, this is not the right practice for you. You need something different. I'm not the right teacher for you. And that person will come knock on your door repeatedly, again and again and again. The minute you say, look, this is not a good fit, they all of a sudden, they think the club's exclusive and they want in, It's so interesting how that happens. Don't worry, you'll have students. But again, these are two things to always check in with yourself throughout the journey, the next month, the next years, the rest of your life. Why do I practice? Why do I teach? Is it still valid? Am I still happy with why I do it? Does it still feel like it's right for me? Okay. Let's go through Just to recap, the central pillars of the Karma Yoga. I should probably write that. Central pillars of Karma Yoga. So many people think Karma Yoga is just doing, washing the dishes for somebody, things like that. Every time I go to a studio, I'm teaching at different studios, they're like, oh, and these two people are our Karma Yogis. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're your slaves. They get to do free classes and you clean the props or something like that. I keep it quiet. I don't say anything. Okay, so the central pillars of Karma Yoga are, number 1, look to your Dharma. I like the way this is phrased because it's not look at your Dharma or look for your Dharma, it's look to your Dharma. It infers it's there, right? It's there, it's resting. It might be dormant, but we know it's there. Krishna says, look to your own duty. Do not tremble before it. Do not tremble before it. We have to be a little bit fearless with some of this stuff, right? We have to say, yes, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do, right? Doubt is the great immobilizer. Immobilize. Yeah. Once you know what your Dharma is, do it full out. No half-assing your Dharma, right? You don't show up halfway, or you don't show up just a little bit, or just sticking your toe in. Some of you have been there, right? Some of you have been there. You're like, I'm not really teaching. I'm not really teaching. I'm just thinking, no, I'm not really there, right? And you get conflicted, right? But once you say, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to invest my time, I'm going to invest my energy, I'm going to think about what I'm going to teach. I'm going to be present. I'm going to engage with my students. I'm going to be supportive. I'm going to create a safe space. I'm going to make those connections. I'm here, even if for a while or for the rest of your life you only end up teaching one class a week to the people at your office every Monday night because they asked you to, right? For some people, that's what they end up doing because they still love being an architect because that's also part of their Dharma, or they still love doing the other job. But they still show up 100% for that class, for those people. That's just as important. It's just as important. You're already doing that because you're here, right? If you're going to do it full out, you're going to take more training, right? Never stop learning. Never, ever stop learning. That's the one great thing about the internet now. You don't necessarily have to travel so far anymore to learn with some great teachers because you can do online courses nowadays. I love that, especially living where we are, where there's only 5 other people besides Audrey and I. Lots of cows. Goats and cows and horses. This is really important. This is about not making friends. We need to let go of the outcome. Now, of course, sometimes we teach a class and we get finished and we realize, I could have done better than that. Or you teach a workshop or a private lesson or something, and you think, I wasn't really present for those people. Other stuff was going on in my mind. So yeah, you have the intention to do it better next time. But ultimately, let go of whatever's happening. Don't worry about how many people are going to show up. Remember, stick to your integrity. Stick to teaching what you want to teach. Stick with number 2. I'm putting everything in. I'm all in with this job or with this vocation. Remember, a job, I'm not saying that like it's the thing that earns you all the money, right? Because I recognize for some of us it's not. But if I let go of the outcome, I don't need to worry about that, right? Let go of the idea that somebody, doesn't like your class. It's fine. It's fine, Have people all the time. You don't need to do a chaturanga. And you just see them like, I'm doing it in defiance. I'm going to, it's okay. You'll probably never come back. It's fine with me. You can do your chaturangas in peace without me going, I told you don't have to do it. Okay. Number 4. Turn your actions over to God. Now, I'm going to write the word God here. Turn your actions. Because I like the word God. It's only 3 letters. It's easy to write on the board. But you can substitute that to whatever word feels universe, source, interconnection, higher power, etc., etc. We're not all of a sudden getting into a conversation about God, but we do have to recognize there is a greater power than ourselves. That's what connects us all, right? So this is what Krishna is saying. So you have to turn your actions over to a higher power. Remember what I said in the beginning, we're all just walking each other home, right? For some of us, that's our understanding of the higher power. It's the energy that connects us all. That's the higher power. It exists in me and everybody equal and the same. So I offer up my actions to the greater good, regardless. That's hard for some people. Because again, those last 2, we're pretty much programmed to look for a good outcome, right? From the day 1 when we have to go to school. Study for the test, take the exam, get a good grade, right? We need the good outcome. And to just surrender to God, well, our parents probably would have throttled us. You're not going to surrender the test to God. You're going to study, and you're going to get a good grade, and we want the outcome to be all A's. That wasn't my parents, actually, but, we get programmed that way. We judge ourselves. And then we go back here. We start doubting ourselves because we wanted a better outcome than we got, and we didn't feel happy surrendering it to a higher power. Because we want control, right? We're always looking for control. Control, structure, security. Especially those of us a little bit older, we know it doesn't really exist, right? Some of you that are a little bit younger, you might still think, oh yeah, I want something secure. Doesn't exist. It's all right. Let go of that. Let go of the outcome of security, right? We need to let go of the idea that we're controlling everything. We're not. Remember, when we find that path of an action is because we're being drawn. We're in the river being led down the river of wherever we're headed. We surrender to that so that we can find the actions that we need to do. We need to teach. We need to create the classes, right? But taking on board all of this is really important. Stuff to just check in with, right? The higher power is not the studio owner. Even though sometimes it can feel like that, The higher power is not, the number of students you have that sign up for your retreats. All of those things, it's literally just surrender to whatever happens. Because if I'm doing this all from that sacred duty, it's going to lead me where I need to be. And I'll always be taken care of. It'll always be fine. Like I said, I've lived a life of uncertainty, and I've learned to embrace it. And I've learned, you know what? I'm always fine. I'm always fine. I always end up in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And that I do have my father to thank for. Growing up in that philosophy was, he said, Julie, you don't have control over anything anyway, right? All you can do is show up and be who you are within that. Whatever else happens, surrender to it, yeah? So, and I found myself in extraordinary adventures and extraordinary discomfort and everything in between. And it's been a wild ride, and it continues to be. And at the end of it, I'm going to be drunk, in love, and a little late.